All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We're going deep inside one of the most complex, high-stakes environments on the entire planet, a modern hospital, to pull back the curtain on the invisible system that keeps people safe. Let's get into it. And really, it all boils down to this one huge question. When a person's life is literally on the line, and you've got multiple separate teams all working on them at once, how in the world do you coordinate every single step to make sure nothing, not even the tiniest thing, goes wrong? The stakes just don't get any higher. So to get our heads around how this actually works, we're going to look at a real-world example, a procedure called hematopoietic stem cell transplantation, or HSCT. Now, this is an incredibly powerful, life-saving treatment, but man, is it complex. Okay, just try to picture this for a second. You have the clinical team at the patient's bedside, a totally separate collection team, maybe in another part of the hospital getting the cells, and then a lab team, maybe even in another building, processing those cells. They all have to operate in perfect harmony, because any little hiccup or miscommunication can have a massive, massive impact on that patient. So, how do you manage that kind of risk? Well, the answer, it's a framework known as a quality management system, or QMS for short. You can think of this as the operational brain of the whole procedure. It's what makes sure all those separate parts act as one single fine-tuned machine. And honestly, it's often the hardest part of getting a transplant program accredited, but it is absolutely non-negotiable. Probably the easiest way to picture this whole thing is to think of it like an air traffic control system at a super busy airport, right? It's tracking every plane, it's talking to all the pilots, it's managing all the ground crews, it's coordinating every single moving part, the doctors, the nurses, the labs, and the precious cells themselves, to make sure the patient has a safe and successful journey from start to finish. Okay, so here's the official textbook definition, but don't let the fancy words fool you. Look at what's really being said here. Assessment, assurance, control, and, this is the big one, improvement. The key thing to see is that this isn't some dusty rulebook sitting on a shelf. It's a living, breathing part of the organization that's designed to constantly learn and get better over time. So let's break that down. What's this thing actually trying to do every day? Well, four main things. Number one, try to see problems coming and prevent errors before they can ever happen. Two, have all these little tripwires in place to detect when something isn't working quite right. Three, if a problem does get through, have a rock-solid plan to fix it fast. And finally, number four, learn from everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and use it to make the entire system better for the next patient. Okay, so if you're gonna build one of these systems from scratch, how do you do it? Where do you even start? Well, it all begins with a really detailed blueprint, a master plan that maps out every single piece you're going to need. Well, this blueprint comes to life in a few key stages. First, you create the master guide, the big picture quality management plan. From there, you get super granular with standard operating procedures, or SOPs, which are basically detailed step-by-step instructions for every single task. Then you design templates for everything so that critical info is always recorded the same way every time. After that, you build in regular checkups with audits and reviews. And finally, you create a formal system to fix what's broken and make sure it stays fixed. But here's the absolute number one, most critical rule of all when you're designing this thing. It cannot be some fantasy. It can't be based on a perfect world that doesn't exist. It has to be built for how the teams actually work, in the real world, with all the chaos and pressure they face every single day. And this leads to this really powerful idea, the difference between work as imagined and work as done. Work as imagined is the flowchart, the perfect world scenario of how you think things should happen. But work as done is the messy reality of how things actually get done on a busy Tuesday afternoon. A QMS that only addresses the imagined work is useless. A truly great one is built for the reality of the work as it's done. And you see, to really get work as done, you have to understand the people, the human beings at the very center of it all. A blueprint is just paper. It's the people who bring it to life, which makes this human element the most critical part of the entire system. You know, for a QMS to actually work, everyone needs to know exactly what they're responsible for, no ambiguity. And take a look at this structure here. Every single level has a clearly defined role. This isn't just some boring top-down hierarchy. It's more like a web of responsibility where everyone, from the program director all the way to the staff in the lab, knows precisely what they own and how their piece fits into the bigger puzzle. And if you look closely at that web, right there in the middle, holding it all together, that's the quality manager. Now, the program director has the ultimate responsibility, sure, but the quality manager is the person on the ground every single day, developing, implementing, and breathing life into the QMS. They're the linchpin.
I mean, just look at what this person has to do. It's incredible. They have to know the whole process, end to end. They're part coordinator, part diplomat, part motivator, and part detective. They are the human glue that holds the entire system together, making sure everyone feels connected, supported, and heard. But, and this is a huge but, even with the perfect plan and the most amazing people, one thing can bring the entire system to its knees: bad communication. In fact, it's pointed to as the #1 reason these kinds of quality programs fail. When teams operate in silos and don't talk, that's when things go wrong. And that is exactly why a good QMS is so much more than just a pile of documents. At its core, it's a communication engine. It is specifically designed to fight against those silos by forcing structured, regular, and documented communication between every single person involved. And here's how it actually works in practice. The system creates a rhythm of specific meetings, each with a crystal clear purpose. So, for example, in one of these multidisciplinary meetings, a nurse could mention an unexpected patient reaction. And right there, the whole team, doctors, support staff, everyone, can immediately jump on it and see if a process needs to be adjusted. See? These aren't just boring meetings to fill up a calendar. They are the actual gears that make the whole quality machine turn.
Okay, so we've gone through all the blueprints, the roles, the meetings. Let's zoom out for a second. Let's ask the big question. Why does all this really matter? What's the bottom line here?
This is the heart of it, right here. A quality management system isn't some bureaucratic nightmare of rules that sits in a binder collecting dust. It's a living, breathing, human-centered framework that gives incredibly skilled and dedicated people the tools they need to do impossibly complex work safely. It's what makes the impossible possible every single day. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We've just peeked inside a hospital, but these exact same principles are running silently in the background of our lives all the time. Think about the air you breathe on a plane, the electricity that powers your home, the food you buy at the store. What are the invisible systems that you rely on every day that depend on this exact same obsession with quality and communication to keep you safe?